Hey everyone, Nerd Named Mark here. This is a video I didn't really want to make, but from a standpoint of being a fan of comics, being a fan of manga, sidebar, for 30 years I've been collecting comic books. I bought my first comic book when I was 6 years old, uh, and it was this Amazing Spider-Man. I've been collecting comics ever since. Yes, I've slowed down since then. Manga I've been reading for I don't even know how long. I only just recently started really getting back into physical manga. I was always buying digital or reading on scan sites, showing magazines, this and that. And I decided, I want to officially start buying manga, start collecting it. I have more space now. And, obviously I was always getting, Ultraman and Yokai Watch, which you could see right above me. But the last 24 hours for the Kamen Rider community has been very interesting with the release of Kamen Rider Kuuga Volume 2 from Stonebot Manga and Titan Manga. There is some issues with translations and quality control, and also with the 01 comic, but this is not about the comic technically, but someone attached to it did have some comments. I'm going to say I will be defending Titan Manga at some point in this video. So, I don't agree with because they finally gave a statement on it this morning. Well, I don't agree with how they handled this. I will say this is not, this situation does not put a good light on them, but it does not show that they do genuinely, usually, I can't speak for them directly, but I can say from a fan perspective standpoint and someone who's been catching up on some of their other releases, usually their quality control and their translations are really good. So I don't know what's going on with this situation. But first up, yesterday it got revealed that there was some translation issues, some grammar issues, this and that with the Kuuga manga. Obviously, Brandon Easton, who I don't know personally, I follow on Twitter. He's a writer for the 01 comic. I always say this. I don't write comics. I don't write manga. So anyone who does artwork or writes or any of this stuff, I always have respect for because they're doing it. It's easy to critique people who aren't doing, it's easy if you're not doing something to critique someone who's doing it, saying you would do it better, then why aren't you type of situation. You know what I mean? But he already apologized for this, but I just want to bring it up because context and something I want to talk about. So when people were bringing up the original tweet, they did this. I don't know. This tweet was deleted, so I don't even know what was said. But his response was, "It's strange to me that a few so-called fans take delight in tearing down the work of others, whether or not you personally like the translation. These books will expose the Kamen Rider franchise to a wider, younger audience in the Western world. That's a great thing." And he wants to clarify it, and I respect him clarifying stuff and everything else. He clears up a few things. It's in different order based on how you tweet. But the first thing he says, a lot of manga is inappropriate for younger readers. Don't stop them. It doesn't stop them from buying or reading. This is true. On my podcast, I thought all the time where I was watching rated R horror movies since I was a single digit age. My aunt would bring me to go see them in theaters even. It happens. He says, I understand the frustration from some fans. As someone who has never read the Kuuga manga, this provided me a window into that iteration. Then he also says, I've read many manga translations I felt were problematic, but it never led to me to express such disgust and anger at the publisher. And then someone says, I believe this book only helps to spread awareness of the property to new eyes. Sorry if that offends. And he even went on other tweets apologizing. He doesn't, and I think Brandon means well. I don't have anything really negative to say about Brandon, okay? And I think the people who have, that is a small group. But when you want, you got to realize, if you're a comic book writer, anyone in the public space as a creative, and you're working with franchises and IPs, the one thing you don't ever say is so-called fans. You don't say that because it was yes, this will spread awareness to a wider audience of people. But guess who's going to buy it day one? The fans. People like me, people like Marco Satsu, Zio Agito, Apocalypse, Pronghorn Heroes, Sergeant Hooked on Heroes, you know, Calvin, you know, all Metaluzzi, like all these people. We're the fans, like bro, everyone. I could list everyone. We're the ones we're the fans. We're the ones making content. We're the ones tweeting about this stuff. We're the ones hyping it up to people who aren't regularly checking manga and seeing release. We're like I've recommended Kuuga Volume 1 to so many people that like manga but know nothing about Kamen Rider. And I was gonna do another video, but I'm just gonna say it here. The Kamen Rider Kuuga manga, I was so hyped for and happy that it was getting released, because this is the best way to get people into Kamen Rider outside of the Blu-ray releases. Fudo PI in the 01 comic, no disrespect, those two aren't ways I would recommend to someone as an entryway into Kamen Rider in the West for official releases. Yes, 01 has the Blu-ray, but I wouldn't be like, hey, pick up this Blu-ray and this comic. No, that's a lot of money up front for someone who's not into the franchise. $10 manga though, with over 200 pages, boom, that's done. $10, they're out. They're not out 40 something for a Blu-ray, then $4 to $5 for a comic. And what if they hate it? And then they got to sit there and watch this whole entire show, even though you don't need to watch the whole show to, you know, read the comic. Honestly, the comic's not great. Sorry to burst anyone's bubbles. As someone who has been reading comics for as long as I have, yes, I've read some bad comics. It's not bad. It's good, but it's not the best. It's not the greatest. This isn't really, you know how like first impressions are really important? This doesn't really do the best first impression with issue 1 anyways. I haven't read issue 2. I have it, but I haven't read it. So, you know, the thing is, the so-called fans, like not only were fans bringing this up, but actual people who work in localization and translating stuff were bringing up the problems with this. And so when you have people in the industry professionals pointing this out, and yes, Brandon is right, there have been some problematic translations in manga over the years for a very long time, actually. The percentage compared to proper translations, there's a gap. So it's like, it's not something where like we need an industry-wide change. No. And also from the same way, I get it. Titan Manga and Stonebot Manga, they're smaller companies. Like, you know, you got to spend a lot of money just to license this stuff. You know, this is how it works. I'm not going to go into logistics, but yeah, they got to license it. And they're basically footing the bill to get this done. But there's no real excuse for the level of quality control issues. And another issue, which I'm going to put up a tweet from a friend of mine, other Toku content creator, Zio Agito, and he says, maybe I'm just a little OCD on this, but the spines for Kuuga manga between volume 1 and volume 2 just throw things way off for me. And you could see in the photo, yeah, like this is just, changing the color of the number, that's one thing. Yes, a lot of manga does that, but just the scaling of the font, like this, just, it's not, like, that doesn't do it for me. Like, I don't like that at all. And to defend Titan, I've been reading Adam the Beginning from them. By the way, I was working on a whole video because, and I mentioned it in my Kuuga Volume 1, like, I didn't know anything about Titan or Stonebot. When they did the announcement, I did a video about it. I was like, I gotta look into these companies more. I've never heard of them. They do something called they're releasing English for something called Adam the Beginning. It's a prequel to Astro Boy. I love Astro Boy. So I actually picked up volume 1. I started reading it. I enjoyed it so much. The art style, everything else. I picked up volume 2. Their spines match to an extent. They don't change the font. This looks nice. Look at that. That looks nice. Now I have my Kuuga volume 1 right here. I don't have volume 2 yet. It's out for delivery at the time of recording this, but it's been out for delivery since 6 a.m. So who knows when I'm going to fucking get it. But I will say that is just on the shelf. It's just going to look meh. But the main thing is Titan Manga made a official statement, and they said Titan Manga's statement on Kamen Rider Kuuga Volume 1 and 2. Let's load it up. In response to fan discussion online regarding the recent manga releases of Kamen Rider Kuuga Volume 1 and 2, we wanted to address some points that have been raised and provide clarity. We appreciate the fans bringing this to our attention. In April 2022, early draft pages, 3 pages from Volume 1 and 4 pages for Volume 2, were translated for marketing purposes, as we wanted to get the artwork out as soon as possible for the fans. These may still be circulating on the web. The actual translation for the printed books, provided by Titan and licensors, were worked on by 2 highly respected translators in the business. We're thrilled to be releasing such a beloved franchise as Kamen Rider Kuuga to English language audiences and value the fans' comments. This is, and right as of right now, like it's noon. The 191 quote retweets, like we're gonna look at those in a second, but I just want to talk about this. This didn't provide any clarity. Okay, they had these translations done in April of 2022 for Volume 2, 4 pages. Okay, now what happened? Like, you're not promoting Volume 2 in May, June, July. Like, the first volume just came out in December. You're obviously going to market Volume 2 after Volume 1. Volume 1 gets marked. So you're saying in that time frame, you didn't think from a quality control standpoint, be like, hey, our preview looks a lot better. And why didn't the people who did that translate this one? Or at least match it with quality? That's the thing I can't get behind. That's the thing I don't understand. And mind you, I just defended Titan Comics. From the beginning, I have no QC issues with it. It's really good. I love it. And like, I'm enjoying reading it so much, especially as an Astro Boy fan. But you know what I'm more of a fan of than Astro Boy? Kamen Rider. And to say, like Brandon pointed out, that, you know, it helps spread awareness of the property to new eyes. Yeah, it does. But at the same time, the new eyes are going to see the quality of it and be like, oh, wow, this is bad. And they're not going to pick up Volume 2. They're not, well, this is Volume 2 that the main issues are. They're not going to pick up Volume 3. They're just going to chalk it up as, oh, well, I spent, you know, $20 on 2 volumes. Like, I'm not going to finish reading it because the quality. I've done this with comics. I've done this before where I will be excited for a run, or even someone will recommend a run. I'll get 2-3 issues in, start to realize the artwork is not there as good anymore, or the dialogue or the story or the pacing isn't good, and I just stop reading it and I stop pulling it. I've done this dozens of times a year when collecting comics and reading comics. So if you want your eyes on something, it has to be good. You have to make sure it's something that people are going to want to read and are going to be hooked and not have any issues with. We have so little Kamen Rider available in the West. You cannot afford quality issues, especially with translations, because all it takes, like, let's break it down right now. We're not counting Ryuki or Kamen Rider Black because those aren't officially released yet. We've got Kuuga, we've got 01, we've got V3, and we've got a few other ones from like Discotheque and one other company. Then from a non standpoint of Blu-rays, we have the 01 comic and the Kuuga manga. That's it. So early into official releases, you have to be on point with this stuff. You do. Because if you aren't, you're gonna, the fans, like I said, who are buying this shit day one, are gonna turn on you. And if diehard fans who love Kamen Rider are shunning this and deciding they don't like the quality control and they're not gonna read it, guess what? What do you think normie, casual manga readers, that don't know Kamen Rider at all are going to think? What are they going to, you think they're like, no, this is the thing. We have, like I said, we have, yes, exposure to the West with official Kamen Rider releases is great, but you have to make sure you're hooking people in and you're actually impressing them and you're actually putting the quality and the care into it, because we get such little released here. You think I like having to buy all my stuff from Japan? It's sometimes I can't hold out for US releases. And listen, you call me a shill, you call me a sellout. I appreciate everything Team Kamen Rider does because they are fighting to get more stuff here. We have had more US releases of stuff in the last 2 years than we ever had. And it's only getting better. But when people are bringing them up into this, they have nothing to do with this. They have nothing to do with the manga. They're trying to. They don't control localization. They don't control translations. They don't control any of that. They're trying to raise awareness, get us hyped. And so when this manga has issues, that's not good. I would love for Kamen Rider to be the point where Ultraman is from Blu-ray releases. That look at Subaraya and Mill Creek. They're just churning like butter. They're churning out Ultraman Blu-ray and DVDs. Okay, I would love to, and yes, that's more exclusive deal. Whereas Toei is trying to make it licensed per show, per series. But I would love to see a day where we're getting a lot of Kamen Rider released in the West officially, when there isn't such a gap in the time frame between Japanese toy releases and the US official releases. I would love to see that happen. But for right now, for what we're getting, there's no excuse for quality issues with translations, artwork, anything. Continuity issues with the 01 comic book with issue 1. There's like, you gotta fine tune this. Listen, I know tons of Kamen Rider fans who are content creators that would love to probably just, you want them to be like a freaking consultation or a QC for you guys. I know countless people I can name that you could hit up and be like, okay, we want to do 01 comic. Who's a big 01 fan that we could talk to? Oh, Kuuga, who's a Kuuga fan? Or, you know, this and that. Like, there's tons of us out here. We might not be able to translate, but from a continuity issue or quality standpoint, we would gladly check your work for you. Check your math, so to speak. Like when you're a kid and you're doing math, you got to do all things like, oh, let me see your work. Let me check your math. See if you got the answer correctly. There's no excuse, honestly. And you know it's bad when you have people who aren't Kamen Rider fans that are localizers that are literally bringing up this issue. It's stupid. It really is. And I don't like being negative. I don't make negative videos. You know this. I joke when I say Gaim is mid, okay? Or when build is mid. I joke about that stuff, okay? But I don't like creating negative content. But I feel like this isn't going to be an issue. And you can't just willy-nilly pass it off. Because it's important. It's important to our fandom that we get more stuff in the West. And we would love to tell our friends to check it out. But I'm not going to tell my friend to check out a manga that has bad translations and no quality control. I'm not going to recommend a comic book that has continuity errors and needs some quality control. You're making it hard for the fans. And I can only speak for myself, by the way. So I'm generalizing. You're making it hard for me as a fan to promote this stuff. And I know, oh, if you want more stuff, buy it. And then, you know, we'll show Toei we have the numbers and we'll get more stuff. I get that mentality from it too. But I'm not going to buy something I don't enjoy. I'm really not. And it sucks that the Kuuga manga is the way that it is. I'm hoping with volume 3 and 4, there's no more. I'm hoping it's not, like, this is not going to be a consistent thing throughout the whole entire run. As of right now, I think volume 5 has 3, 4, and 5 have release dates for pre-order. So I don't know. I honestly just don't know what's going to go on. Like, I'm hoping volume 3 is better. Maybe, you know, Titan Manga could have made a better statement. Honestly, that's the main thing. Is like, that's what disappoints me the most is the statement on it, because That's someone who discovered Titan Manga via the Kuuga one and is enjoying, Adam the beginning. I was gonna check out some of their other stuff. It's discouraging to see a company reply this way. But let me know what you think. I know it was a long tirade and rant, and I don't like being negative. I really don't. I got some other stuff. I still got to work on my Shin Ultraman review, which is I got a lot of time put into that. But I thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button down below. I, as a Kamen Rider fan, I just want anything we get here in the West to be the best quality so that everyone can enjoy it. We can find so I just want new fans. It'd be great to see a whole bunch of new fans of Kamen Rider pop up because of this manga. That would be great. Get more fans on board. The more fans there are here in the West demanding stuff, maybe we'll get more, But as of right now, with how volume 2 is with the dude, come on. Do better. See you guys in the next video.